Yay! And we are live. Welcome everybody to the College for Expanded Awareness and Consciousness. I have the amazing Shon van Orden. Where are you calling in from today? Outer space somewhere?
Yeah, somewhere like that. Salt Lake City, Utah.
Utah. I am very privileged and excited to welcome you to these 10-minute quickies because we've got the hottest update for everybody out there about Access Me. And something I'm aware of, and we were just discussing this, is how do we get this out into the world more? How many of you watching right now have actually heard of Access Me? So, Shon, tell me, introduce us, whet our appetite. What's Access Me all about?
Well, that's a long story, but I think what we were looking at was we have a database full of content. I mean, if you look at the amount of content that Gary and Dane and the key contributors of Access put out on a year basis, I think we did over 120 different calls and classes just in 1 year. Now, if you stretch that for the past 25, right, that Gary and Dane have been doing this and creating that much content, what we realized is we have an entire treasure trove of content that no one has access to. I mean, you can go to our website and you can go to the shop and you can search for things. But what we found is after about 2 years, people just stopped purchasing the content, mainly because it doesn't count towards a prereq for the next class. People want the latest and greatest because we're always on the cutting edge of consciousness and coming out with all kinds of new things. But that doesn't mean that the older classes that were done back in the day don't have some really amazing content on them. So the idea we came up with was, why don't we take all of this content, put it into a streaming app, give people access to it for a monthly subscription. They can pick any category, money, relationships, and start listening to classes if they're having issues somewhere in their life and they're looking for tools or clearings. They could just pick a class, put it on, listen to it, stream it through their phone, stream it through their computer, their TV, and give them access to this content that right now is just sitting in a S3 bucket somewhere in the stratosphere, right? Collecting dust.
For those of you that just went visual, me too. There's this gigantic bucket with S3 on the front of it with all this amazing, firecrackers of possibilities inside the bucket. Yeah. It's like a lucky dip. So
and I was listening to back in the day, we now have Foundation, but it used to be called Foundation and Level 1. And I have one from back in 2011 that I was listening to that I'd found on my phone as I was doing like some cleanup. And to hear Gary in 2011 facilitating this class, it's a totally different style. What he's talking about, like, it is really, really cool and just as interesting as the classes that he's doing now, if not more so. And it's like going back into the archives and, you really get to see where Access has come and how it's evolved and all of the different tools that have come along the way. So it's really fun to listen to. Dane even sounds different. Like, their facilitation styles are different, but really, really fun at the same time. So it's been a lot of fun to kind of dig into the material. And, right now we're going through the process of putting packages together. We've got Kat and Megan looking at it and pairing up different products together that will then eventually release. And like I said, it's a monthly subscription. We're looking at like $250 a month right now for like a premium one. We'll have some smaller packages than that, but it's actually, it takes what are $2,500, $3,000 classes. Those will all be in there at that monthly subscription level too. So a lot of value considering if you were to pay for all of that stuff packed into these apps, and we'll continue to release new content.
Yeah, and whoever came up with the name Access Me, thank you, because it is just so brilliant. I mean, access, you've got total open doors to true infinite possibilities, and me, because it's all about what you would like to receive, what you'd like to change. And in all the years I've been doing access classes, reading books, telecalls, the reference materials, even going into my old computer. I'm just going to sidestep for a moment. A friend of mine came and visited recently, and he had a charger that actually charged my old laptop up, because of course I've lost the charger to my old laptop. And there were so many cool classes on there that we started re-listening to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this stuff is gold. The way that it was being delivered, or how the conversation was. I mean, obviously I'm different listening to it, but one thing I want to bring up with you, Shon, is, there's this misconception as to old material or old classes are out of date, or it's a beginner's class. It's like, do you want to speak to that? Because I know I would, but you go.
I love the beginner class, especially today, because I don't think we do beginners anymore. Like
beginner classes.
I hear Dane do a being you class with no prereqs, and I'm blown away at where he's able to go, the places, things he's willing to talk about, things people are willing to receive now. Mm-hmm. And there really is no beginner class at this point. Like it seems to all just be blending in together. But the historical content is really fun. I mean, the thing with Access is the content is timeless, right? Mm-hmm. Like when did we come up with who does this belong to? 25 years ago, and it's still one of the primary tools that we use today, right? Wow. The content that we have, you go back and you listen to, it's still relevant. Like the things that they're talking about back then, the places where we are now, it's not like we've gotten rid of some old tools and brought in new ones. Like we just continue to add and continue to discover, and things that were prevalent back then are still relevant today. So there is no such thing as old content. And that's kind of the perception of the content in our library. But as you get into access.me and you start listening to some of these classes on money, classes on business, classes on relationship, you're going to go, whoa, this is really good stuff. And it's from 20 years ago. Where has this been?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean by gold. I mean, the joy of me reopening my computer. First thing I went to was my iTunes library, because my computers are full of access material. It's just, I listen to class, even if it's on silent at night, I'll be listening to an ESB or something that's pinged. And just an example I'd love to give is, for any of you watching now or in the future, how many of you have listened to the Clearing the Issues of Abuse CDs? I mean, how old are they? The clearing was this long, and the recording's really scratchy, but holy dooly, does that stuff release abuse. And that, I couldn't even tell you when that class was first recorded, the very original Clearing the Issues of Abuse. And it's still, Gary still recommends it. It's still a prerequisite to do, the body classes, or it's a suggestion for the body classes, but definitely for the advanced body class. So, it is, this stuff is, I don't even have words to express how the depth and breadth and all the nooks and crannies that the clearings, the conversations, the questions people ask, they're still totally relevant to life today, and you'll hear Gary talking about something and it's like, oh my God, that was 10 years ago. And you can see now how that has played out and become so relevant for where we're at right now with our evolution in consciousness.
And for those of you who don't know, we have these things called reference materials. And if you go to Foundation, you get access to the Foundation reference materials, where basically as we progress through classes, some things don't clear on people anymore. Just the energy has been cleared. So we put them into this archive called reference material. And it's hundreds of pages long, those reference material booklets. And you read through them and it's just as relevant. The stuff that you're learning and reading, it kind of gives you a sense of where access came from. And listening to these classes is very much the same. It's like actually listening to the reference materials rather than having to read 900 pages. And it's all still relevant and super interesting and fun to dig into.
Yeah, and it's like this, I always feel like Indiana Jones in the, the Temple of Not Doom Glory, because you open the reference materials and you think you're just looking for one thing, and you end up in this incredible labyrinth, and takes you here and takes you there and takes you on this meandering path where light bulb after light bulb after
It's
light bulb
crazy.
goes on in your world, and it's shifting stuff in your world just by reading it, listening to it, and, you know, accessing me. So
Yep.
we've got a question in the chat for you, Shon. When
Okay.
is it going live?
Great question. So we actually purchased the platform today. And so they have expected delivery day on the 15th of April. We expect our first group. So one of the things we're doing, if you're interested, you can go to access.me and join the wait list. And the people who join the wait list, you can then share it with your friends on Facebook or Instagram and give us some exposure there, which is great. But the people on the wait list, we'll invite them first to start using the platform before we invite anyone else. So you get the early adopter. It's obviously not going to be perfect. There may be some kinks and bugs, but you can help us work through those. And then the grand launch that we're looking at is Global Foundation on May 3rd. So provided that things go smooth and we can get this thing done, it's a really tight window. Global Foundation would be the grand opening of access.me, where people can, you know, anyone can come in and start paying for it. But if we miss that date, then we'll have a pretty good idea of when it's going to happen, and we'll just kind of do it like a pre-launch there, where people can still get involved.
And yeah, and just to kind of tease into that a little bit, it's like I am not in the slightest bit computer based, but I appreciate the amount of work and that goes into launching something like this. This is 25 years of product that these guys are making available to us, to any of us, to be able to access. So you touched on earlier, there'll be different types of packages. There'll be different price points, entry points. Do you want to talk a bit about, is the hedonist package still available? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we have a special offer for anyone who's ever taken a foundation class. So that is the prereq. We don't have prereq checks, so we are asking that you honor that. If you haven't taken a foundation, it wouldn't be for you. But if you have, we do have what's called the hedonist package, or the hedonist choice, which is basically for 9,990 USD. You get access to the entire library. And when I say entire library, I mean anything that we put into the platform. And the only thing that it excludes is 6 days, Maestro, and CF trainings. So you literally get access. I mean, SOPs, ESBs, CFPs, like all of them will be in there, and you can just go in there and pick classes that you want. If you're a facilitator, it's amazing, because if you want to facilitate a class on money, find a class on money, listen to it, get the tools out of it, get the clearings out of it. You have a whole class right there. That membership goes for 7 years. So one payment gives you 7 years of the content. And just to give you some sense, like that would probably be around a $500, maybe a $600 a month package to have that kind of access to that content. And that's not how it's going to be for, let's say, the 250 package a month. That will have certain content in it to start with. It's not going to be open the floodgates and you have access to everything like the hedonist choices, and we'll release and kind of control the content in that content bundle. But it won't be full access like the hedonist choices. And that is a really cool offer. Gary, you know, he did not want to do that at all. So he's kind of got his finger on the trigger of when we stop it, because from his perspective, like that's millions of dollars worth of content, at least over $1 million in content in that hedonist choice that we're giving at that price point. So he didn't like it, but we got him to do it, and it could expire at any time. So you can go to access.me/hedonist and or hedonist. Yeah, I think it's hedonist, and you can access the offer there if you're interested.
So once again, if you want the very latest update landing in your inbox, you can join the wait list at Access Me. I mean, what a great website name. So good luck for getting that one. Brilliant, whoever came
no
up with that.
No longer have to worry about how do I spell consciousness. What is?
Yes. Yeah. accessconsciousness.com. Access me. So thank you. I want to say thank you to the entire team. I don't know who you all are, but thank you, thank you, thank you. This is just, for me, I'm like, yes, how do we get this out into the world? How do we spread more dandelion seeds of possibilities and consciousness and create a greater future? This is you having it available on your phone, on your desktop, watching. I plug my laptop into my big screen at night and I watch classes at night. The last time my actual television was on, I couldn't even tell you because I'm watching classes all the time.
And you can toggle between the video, you can toggle to audio, so you can listen to both. It's very much like a Netflix / Spotify, where you'll have all the classes. You can download them to your phone if you're getting on an airplane. You can listen to them from there. This will eventually be where all of your historical classes that you purchased in the past will be found. So we'll have them all there for you. Not right away. This is going to be much later on down the line. But at some point, you'll go there and you'll go to your classes and all of your history will be there for you to listen to. All the things that you may have lost in the past, right? And your hard drives that have crashed or your computers that no longer charge. You can go there. You'll be able to find it. Access.me is where we're kind of headed from a tech perspective. So this is just the first piece, and then we'll continue to build out the website and everything else. And access.me will be the domain that you go to for that. So.
Oh my God, I just have to say this before we finish. You saying that, I just had a flashback to when I left my marriage and I had to do a massive clean out. I had stacks and stacks and stacks of CDs. For any of those of you watching that remember when we used to have them, all the CDs were, created in class and you went home with your stack of CDs. I can't believe I'm going to say this live on air, but I threw out an old level 2 and 3 from Dane in Korea because I had literally no space. I'm like, oh, which of you kids do I keep and which do I let go? So I'll be able to access that again.
Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic. Shon, thank you so much for joining me today. And ladies and gentlemen, please, if you feel that this would be a contribution to people, please talk to them about Access Me, and together, what can we create as a greater future for all of us?
And if you have questions on access.me, in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a chat, so you can chat in. We have a team that can take questions or, point you where to go. So,
yeah. Fabulous. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And again, whatever magical contributions and ease we can be for this platform, creating more magic than we can imagine. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh. 1, 2, 3. And here's to the launch in early May at Global Foundation.
All right. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time. Bye.